and AI came out, and the things I used to be able to charge six figures for, AI said, hold my beer, I'm going to do it in 2 seconds. And all of a sudden, my customers disappeared. I can't beat AI,
Hmm.
but I can beat that guy over there using AI.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the AI Adopters Club. My guest today keeps showing up right as new creative mediums are about to explode. As a teenager, he was the house photographer for a little band called Guns N' Roses, shooting them before the world really knew their names. And by the mid 90s, he was designing artwork for James Cameron's Titanic. And he's doing it all over again, reinventing himself, adapting and creating. You guys know me, this is my life motto. As
Mm.
he's working with AI, helping brands like Reebok, Universal, Neiman Marcus, and a couple of others, and building cinematic advertisement with generative tools at Ritual Ads. Dean Clark, welcome to the AI Adopters Club.
Hey, what a privilege. Thank you for inviting me on.
I was really looking forward to that. I saw you speak the other day, and I said, I got to get this guy on because you're sitting right. First of all, as I pointed here already, right? My life motto is adapt and create, and
Mm,
your story really embodies that. Where especially you and I, we know a lot of creative people when they hear
yeah,
AI, mostly negative, right? And I understand it,
correct.
but I really
Yeah,
think that at some point creative guys, you got to burn the ships and you got to
yeah,
adapt. There's only one way forward. That's my
yeah,
take. You are in it. I would love to get your
sure,
story on this. And for those of you who don't know you, can you just give us a brief intro, if anything
sure,
that I left
sure.
out?
Sure. And well, I welcome anybody to Google me. So Dean Clark, Guns N' Roses pulls up all kinds of information. So I'm all over the internet. And I'll give you a little backstory. I have a dramatic story where I was an abandoned baby, no mom, no dad, and 13 months in the hospital, 8 years in foster care, losing my family at 9, getting in trouble, getting arrested, living with the mafia, a normal story. And then literally ending up in the Hollywood Hills where I meet the founder of Guns N' Roses at high school. And 2 years later, I'm now not living in the Hollywood Hills, which is the equivalent of like Beverly Hills for anybody that knows that. I'm now living in the poor part of town. And I come from the poor part of town. I come out of foster care and a lot of tragic circumstances. But I get a phone call and he goes, Hey, Dean, I'm in a band, right? And I grab my camera. I've been a lifelong creative. So back when there was film, like people are like, what? I don't even understand. But so I remember before the internet and before digital anything, and I grab my film camera and I get in a car with Axl Rose, the lead singer, Izzy Stradlin, the rhythm guitarist, and Chris Webber, the original lead guitarist before Slash. And we're driving through the streets of Hollywood and I see a pink car and it matches Axl Rose's pink leather jacket. So I'm the little kid in the back seat going, "Stop the car!" And I was literally in high school. I didn't even have a car myself at this point. And I took this photo, and that's the little photo that's gone all over the world. So if you Google Hollywood Rose band and you see a pink leather jacket anywhere, all over the internet, that's my photo. And crazily, less than 10 years ago, they made it the album cover.
Hmm.
So the photo has gone everywhere, Rolling Stone, everywhere else. But amazingly, just a few months after taking that photo, I get kicked out of my home.
Hmm.
I graduate from high school and boom, I'm booted out and I move back to Hollywood and I move in with Guns N' Roses. So I now live with them. So
What a story,
if
man.
you don't know the band, people are like, "Oh, how fun!" But if you do know the band, people are like, "Are you okay? How you doing now?" You know. And I've been very blessed. I'm now sober 37 years,
Hmm.
and and God needed me in Hollywood. So my tagline is, but God had a plan. So when I was an abandoned baby, God had a plan and put me in
Hmm.
this wonderful home. When I fell into crime and all kinds of trouble, God still had a plan. And then now I'm living with a really bad group of people in a rock band, but I get discovered in Hollywood.
Right.
And I get discovered at this corner of Hollywood and Vine. And within 2 weeks, I'm in commercial real estate. and I get a suit and tie, a six-figure job in a 12-story building. And so my company right now is called Found because I get the privilege of paying that forward and helping others get found. So for the last 30 plus years, I've been involved in launching businesses, brands, celebrities, messaging, whatever it is, right? And the way when I trigger people with, oh, you work at an AI movie studio, I go, look, here's how I explained AI. When it first came out, my son and I, who are both designers and we run Found, Jared, shout out to the most amazing artist on the planet. Um, when we started it, when we first heard about AI, we ignored it. And then I discovered I can't beat AI,
Hmm.
but I can beat that guy over there using AI. So he's going to use AI, but he's a hack and not a real designer. I can elevate the medium. I try to elevate every medium that I've ever touched, and I can prompt better, bring things into Photoshop and make it better. So there's skills that a real artist has that somebody who's just relying on prompting doesn't have on tap.
Yeah,
And yeah, so
th- that's a,
yeah,
that's exactly what I keep telling. Honestly, not just artists and creatives, but it really shows up during the generative AI boom,
yeah,
specifically in those areas. Look, all this does is it raises the floor now. It raises the
mhm,
minimum bar, right? Everybody can
yeah,
be now average. And that says a lot because a lot of people were below average.
below average.
Yeah. And so now
It
everybody's
pushed,
average.
yeah,
But if you
yeah.
were average or really good, you need to work on your AI intuition, your human API, as I
Mm,
call it, the way you communicate with
wow,
these tools so that you can infuse them
mm,
with your genius, with your experience, and then
wow,
build out your edge on top of that new bar, right? And I
mm,
think you're
yeah,
explaining this exactly the way it is. So
yeah.
really, really cool.
And so the way I got my start in design is after commercial real estate, I ended up in graphic arts. And most people don't even know what that is. And so I didn't, when I applied for the job, they go, we're in animation. I go, ooh, I like cartoons. I had no idea what the heck it was. It was literally one of the very first vendors of CGI computer animation software. So in
Mm,
92, I don't even think Jurassic Park had hit yet. We're talking, this is at the very first big launch of CGI was Jurassic Park,
mm,
where finally people were just, it was like the mic drop for CGI.
right.
And now, I would say right now is the mic drop year for generative AI video. I
Mm,
think you would agree. Like last year, even 6 months ago, it was iffy.
yeah.
Right now, it's stunning. And the things that I'm doing and my team are doing at ritualads.com are absolutely beyond parallel. Like
Yeah.
we're not just creating the engine, we're a SaaS company creating the engine for doing TV commercials, but we have the best artists. So we have the talent, we have the tech, we have the taste. And that was going to lead me to my next thing I wanted to tell people is taste is the new skill.
Mm,
And art used to be hard, and I was hired just because I knew a hard thing that wasn't necessarily the best artist around because I was an amateur back at one point. But people hired me because I could do Photoshop and Illustrator and back then Quark Express.
mm,
And I was hired because I had the computer and I had the software and I kind of knew how to use it.
mm,
So art was very hard. Art just became easy. And I remember when I was designing logos and they came out with clip art. I
mhm.
literally thought my life is over. Everybody's going to discover this giant, vast, millions and millions of pieces of clip art, and they're going to never hire me again. Well, it's the same as AI. If you've ever been through a clip art library, it's a million choices.
Mhm.
And for the most part, a lot of it's garbage. And you can embarrass your brand by choosing the garbage, right? And I always look at things and go, gosh, didn't they know an artist? Didn't they have one friend that could have told them that thing is ugly? But
Yeah.
no, they chose it themselves, and that was clip art. But now the same is true with AI. So art, we used to be creators, now we're curators.
Mhm.
So we've gone from the creator economy to the curator. economy and may the best curator win. So I help people wade through the millions of choices, right? To
Yeah.
find the art, the brilliance, the little gem, right? And that's what my privilege and pleasure is now. And AI has made it actually easier
Hmm.
because clip art, I had to wade through sometimes thousands of images and thousands of pieces of graphics or whatever to find the gem. Now I can ask for it by name.
Mm. Yeah, and you
And
can just generate it on the
I,
spot.
right. And um, I use AI as, or generative AI imagery as clip art on steroids.
Mm.
So whereas before I was looking for that perfect sky and I was like, oh, wading through, swiping left on all these images, right? Oh my gosh, horrible, horrible.
Yeah.
Now I can get to that image a lot quicker,
Yeah. I want
right?
to ask you something about taste since you mentioned that.
Mm,
I feel like I don't know if you saw those videos of recent graduation speeches where the speakers are being booed as soon as they mention
right,
AI.
right.
Obviously, there's a lot of like bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, and they're trying
Yeah,
to go against that. Talk to me from a business perspective. What is the right direction to you, the right way to use AI inside maybe their campaigns,
yeah,
so it doesn't necessarily like, is there a safe way to do it, a tasteful way to do it? Because I think,
sure.
what was it, like Gucci or somebody came up with these really weird, I don't know, it was Gucci, somebody, some fashion brand came up with
Yeah,
some really weird characters that they had in their campaign. It backfired on them. Obviously,
yeah,
brands want to
yeah,
save themselves from that, but they also want to be with the times. What's the right way to
sure.
think about that?
Sure. And so with taste being the new skill, right? It's the first choice of a brand is to hire an artist with taste, an AI expert with taste. Look at their portfolio, do a deep dive, right? If they didn't have a taste before AI, they're not going to have taste after AI.
Mm,
And so what Ritual adds is we are and my studio as well, Found Studios or Found CMO. We still shoot people. We shot Martha Stewart on a green screen and we put AI environments behind her. We made her look better. We elevated a humble photo shoot into something glorious and we launched it in Times Square.
mm,
Angel Reese, they were going to do a photo shoot. Angel Reese, for anybody that's listening, is the bad girl of the WNBA. She's one of their biggest names. And when Shaquille O'Neal bought Reebok, he was her biggest signing star. So we worked on the most critical shoe launch of last year for a shoe brand coming back from the dead. And the shoe sold out within 2 hours. So we now have real business cases for AI. They were going to shoot Angel Reese in a hole in the ground with a real subway, and they were going to pay $1 million to the city of Chicago to stop a train. Then they had 3 hours to shoot their superstar, and they were going to light a subway car in the hole in the ground. I mean, it was the
mhm,
worst idea humanly possible. And after 9 months or 6 months of planning, it imploded. We get the call, they're in trouble. Within 90 minutes, we were able to shot by shot do a proof of concept of the video of the commercial. And we showed it to the executives and they're like, "What is this?" And we're like, "It's AI. Maybe you can spell it." Literally, they were that new to the technology.
yeah.
They were able to take that proof of concept, approve our shoot. This was Thursday, and their life was over because they have a shoe to launch, and all their ideas died. On Monday, we were shooting Angel Reese on a white sound stage,
Hmm.
and we built the most beautiful spot. And quite frankly, this is why I took the job at Ritual. Once I saw that commercial, I'm like, that's possible? And it turns out it was AI combined with some of the most brilliant animators, sound designers, music editors. All the people still did this work,
Mm,
but AI did things that only AI can do. if we had had to use CGI, because that's the only other way to have done it, if we had to use CGI, it would have been a 6 month build and be $1 million. The
If
budget
that.
was a lot less than that.
Yeah, right,
Yeah, or
right.
maybe even more.
Yeah.
Right. And so my theory is let's use AI for what only it can do,
Hmm.
right? But if people can still do the job and there's budget to do it, let's still employ people, right? We don't want to take everybody's creative job away.
Mm,
And for a brand like these two brands, Martha Stewart and Angel Reese, the executives were at the shoots,
mm,
like the suits that signed off on this. So that was a safe place, a transition from both of them to ease into AI,
mm. What
right?
are
If we'd, yeah,
I'm trying to translate that maybe to small and medium-sized businesses, how they can
sure,
learn from people like you that are working with the big brands. A lot of companies are worried about the trust that they may lose
yeah.
when they use too much AI in their marketing. That's one thing that's holding them back, aside from the technical aspects. How would you, is there some sort of first principles that you're thinking of that any business leader could really kind of keep in mind as a guide, as a North Star when working with AI that's outward facing? Is there anything that you can help with?
Your North Star is show it to your teenager.
Hmm. What do
Yeah.
you mean by that?
If if a teenager will tell you exactly what it is, they are looking at AI slop
Right.
every day, and they're going to go, Dad, Mom, that's embarrassing.
Hmm.
That's horrible, or whatever, right? Like, don't listen to some crazy artist somewhere that goes, no, this is the coolest, this is the best. Go with your gut. You're a business person. This is your baby. This is your brand that you're launching out into the world, right?
Are
So
you?
how do you, eh, I think that the standards of good taste still exist, right? And I've
Yeah.
seen some very unfortunate, like you were talking about that TV commercial that flopped,
Tell me
right?
all the things that you saw that are horrible. And while you're at that too, I'm curious, is it better to hide that you're using AI or just be upfront
Well,
about
there's
it?
laws. I just got informed. I just did 4 TV commercials using generative AI for a global brand called Minty
Hmm.
and Minty.com. And they just informed me today, they just passed a law in New York that I need to put a label on every TV commercial that I just did.
Oh, really? At the
AI
bottom.
simulated, AI simulated people or whatever it's called.
Interesting.
So, so it's and I heard from one of the YouTube or one of the other channels that if you're not putting it on there, they're
Right.
actually labeling AI generated. So if you're trying to sell it as real people, right? Like the spots I did for Minty were very obviously fantasy, where it was a human interacting with a cartoon dog that's
Yeah.
sitting on their shoulder and then leaping into their smartphone. Very obviously a fantasy sequence.
Mm.
And I think that was a really good use of AI, because the other way to do it, to have done it, is CGI, right?
Hmm.
Computer graphics. And it would have been $500,000 for every 15 seconds.
Right.
So the customer's budget was a lot less than that, but it was still a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of work. It was 2 months of production for four 15-second commercials. So I would say that you can get AI slop out quickly, but to do it at the broadcast level, which my commercials are, I had to go through frame by frame, thousands of frames,
Hmm.
right? And we had to reprompt and even use traditional tools to replace elements that AI didn't quite get right.
Right. I feel like, side note here, I just created this and published, he's on Spotify, my first AI artist. But I put a lot of thought into it. And I worked with a
Yeah,
friend, he's a music producer, not on this artist. He's a music producer out of LA. And,
yeah,
he produced an artist as well. And I helped him on the video side a couple years ago just to kind of experiment. But I do have to
yeah,
say, even with this one that I just released, the amount of effort that you put into the creation. So I built a whole backstory, like a whole lore
yeah,
around him, a lot of thought into all of the
yeah,
lyrics and the music behind that. it does shine through, and there's a
Yeah.
clear difference. And I'm not even like a traditional artist. I'm 50-50 is my course. I'm
Yeah.
50% analytical, 50% creative. But
Beautiful.
whenever I get into this creative mode, I go all out. And I
Mm.
do feel that when you put that in there, it shines through. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
can attest to that.
Yeah.
What is so what is some advice that you would give maybe on your own journey to
Sure.
creatives that have been very successful in their career based on the skills and the experience that they have created, but
Mm.
there's just this thing that they just can't get over themselves to work with AI, either because it's frowned upon in their industry or for
Mm.
egotistical reasons that are not helpful to themselves. Like,
Sure.
what is some advice that you can give them in order to get over the hump, or maybe just keep in mind as they approach AI and working with AI?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just a little bit of a drama backstory.
Please, yeah.
I've had a studio for over 30 years, and AI came out, and the things I used to be able to charge six figures for, AI said, hold my beer. I'm going to do it in 2 seconds. And all of a sudden, my customers disappeared. So I've been on a adapting and creating journey just in this last year, where all of a sudden we were paid sometimes very handsomely to do high level work like Titanic and Major League Baseball and aerospace and automotive, all A-list clients, or mostly A-list clients. And all of a sudden, those clients stopped calling
Hmm.
because AI empowered people that were not artists. Trust me, none of them were artists, but it empowered them or their secretary or somebody that was not as expensive as me to do the work for them, right? So I've had to adapt myself. Marcus Bell, who's part of Metal, you and I are both part of Metal,
I was talking
and
about them.
Marcus,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, Marcus Bell said something that was really enlightening. He goes, "You're either the engineer of the AI train, you know, driving driving the behind the wheel, so to speak, or you're on the tracks."
I love
So
that.
I would very much encourage any creative, seek out somebody like myself who can maybe walk you through baby steps. And what I was really encouraged with when I landed this big client, Minty, how much of my traditional photo illustration, graphic design skills from Photoshop, we used every piece of Adobe software
Hmm.
except InDesign in the creation of these commercials. Whereas somebody might go, oh, that was easy. They just typed in a prompt and no, there was real art. I got my creative, juices going through the whole project. And it really did need somebody at my level. We created a little cartoon dog and I was able to bring it into Photoshop and literally mold it like clay, where I'm bending it and I'm warping it and I'm doing all these things and painting out imperfections. And so it turned into an art project when I thought it was going to be 100% AI. And so
Mm.
I think that's the difference. If you're an artist and and like just like you who are very gifted at prompting, I'm assuming you're a writer and you're a gifted writer,
Well, I call
right?
myself a publisher these days. I'm not really a writer, if you know what I
Right.
mean.
But I mean that's where you're creative, one of your creative outlets, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying that when you took the time and you put in that quality prompt with a lot of brain work and thought and thinking behind it, it showed up in the result, right? So
Yeah.
there's still garbage in, garbage out. And so going through my year of transition, I almost liken it to like I was in the chrysalis, the little butterfly,
Hmm.
with the little cocoon. I don't forget what they call it. I think it's a chrysalis. And then I literally just came out of the butterfly. I had to hit bottom and then bounce back up. And it was instead of adapt and create, it was either adapt or die
Yeah.
because I I found my industry gone,
Mm.
literally gone. It's like if you used to write blog posts for a living, which I've hired blog post writers, gone.
Hmm.
That job does not exist anymore. However, you as a very gifted blog post writer, right? with AI, you could scale up and serve 50 customers, whereas before just serving one was your full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So remember, you can't beat AI, but you can beat that guy over there using AI. So how can you, as the blog post writer, as the photo illustrator, as the cameraman who's worried, like you used to not be the director, you were the cameraman, and now all of a sudden that job is dried up. Guess what? Now you're a director.
Hmm.
With AI, you can have new skills that you could never have done. So when I did a video project before, I would hire a music guy, I would hire a voiceover guy, I would hire an editor, I would hire a shooter, I would hire all these people. Now, every one of those people can fill in all the gaps of the jobs that they didn't used to do. If I'm a photographer now, I can be my own music guy, voiceover guy, all with the help of AI. So it fills in all those gaps. Or still grab your voiceover guy and you guys together can create something amazing because you have non-AI voiceover. And it's that next level professionalism
Mm.
that adds to the magic. And so it's creative. These are all tools.
Yeah.
When Photoshop came out, every photographer freaked out. When the digital camera came out, every film camera guy freaked out. When CDs came out, all the people making cassette tapes freaked out, right?
Yeah.
Every new tool blows out the tools before it, especially if it's good. Well, AI is that super tool creator where now it doesn't just stay put. It is now creating better tools in every single area of endeavor.
Hmm.
So look at what you were good at before. How can AI make you better? How can you keep your integrity? And realistically, what I'm still finding is people still buy from people.
They do, absolutely.
And they buy from who they can trust, right? They
Right.
they
And
and
there's
a lot of
always a lot of
people.
momentum in the economy too. Like only because we have this
Mm,
technology is there's so many inefficiencies. You know, there's so much gold in here. I actually really like that. I always call it my first article on this newsletter was actually
mm,
"Welcome to the director's chair," and it goes really close to what you're saying. Now I call it something like you got to swim upstream of the value chain. So if you
mm.
and
Oh,
the more you can position yourself, let's say you were in a role as a graphic designer before, now AI comes in. What is the
yeah,
role that you could swim upstream so that you are above the compute layer, above the AI layer, right? So maybe you're a strategic brand director or something like that, and
right,
now the AI is pushing the pixels, right? So that's how I
right.
liked it. But this is amazing. Tell me, Dean. By the way, sometimes people ask me, like I think I was just on this podcast last week where somebody was asking me a rapid question: what's the most undervalued AI tool that you have used?
Well,
And I gotta say, I said Grok Imagine, and it turns
mm,
out that Grok Imagine just surpassed Cdance 2 in like some video benchmark and all that. I don't know how much you play with all those end consumer
right.
type of engines, but is there any tools that you love playing around with that people should pay attention to?
Sure. Well, I can give a little plug for my employer, Ritual
Please.
Ads. If you're building TV commercials, come and talk to us, please. Look me up, Dean Clark. We are building the most state-of-the-art, purpose-built TV commercial engine, and it adapts API to every new LLM model.
Or they contact
So
me and they get a discount.
there you go. Yeah, yeah. And so absolutely. And so so there's all the different ones. So as a new one comes out, like I haven't heard of the one you just mentioned, right? We can look into that and
Hmm.
we have a front end and it's solving some of the problems that we're seeing inherent in AI video. Consistency of
Hmm.
hair, consistency of faces, consistency of wardrobe, consistency of backgrounds. And right now, you would put a prompt in and it would just create, if you can find an engine that can do this much, say 15 seconds of continuous video. Our engine breaks it up into scenes.
Hmm.
where it's each one's 3 to 5 seconds or less. So now you can go in and edit individual scenes and fix problems. Like, hey, you were doing great AI until wow, what the heck is going on in that scene? Now we're trying to make it so that both a non-pro and a pro get what they need.
Mm.
The non-pro can get, out of the box really interesting stuff. If they're not super picky and it's not going broadcast like Minty, they can get what they need. But if they're a prosumer or a pro, then they can actually go in and really fine tune.
Yeah. That's what I
And
noticed too. Like, honestly, I've seen a couple of agentic interfaces where you can kind
mhm,
of node based and everything, and it looks really good. But the main value right now, and I haven't looked up your company, is really in the orchestration because the
yeah,
technology is there. If you can
yeah,
put it together nicely and help the user guide them through, make it somewhat editable, that is where the value is. Because I mean, on the newsletter, mostly I keep saying that I work on boring AI. So this is really more like business related AI that's not in the forefront. So not necessarily
yeah,
audio, video, image. But personally, I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I'm really excited to see where things are going. Really love
yeah.
it. Dean, if people want to find you, you mentioned it already a little bit. You can just Google you. Is there any way to reach out to you in the
Yeah,
best
the
way
best the
possible?
best way to find me is foundcmo.com. So when we started out, we were just a graphic design company. It was foundstudios.com, still the site's still there. But we transitioned to fractional CMOs.
Hmm.
So now I created a new term, fractional CFO, but not for finance, but found, the chief found officer. How do you get found? How do you find the right tools?
Hmm.
So uh, foundcmo.com, my phone number's there, my booking link is there, my case studies, you can check out Titanic and some of the other stuff I've worked on. But then also go to my employer, ritualads.com, and their website's stunning, and you can see the work I did for Minty, which turned out phenomenal, and Martha
Awesome.
Stewart and some of the other big brands
Yeah.
that we serve.
Thank you for that. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I think there was some really good advice in here. Always happy to have you back, Dean. Thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.